you're new to this model. What were you trying to solve that kind of brought you into it? What already said resonates and was sort of the exact things, and were there some other things that kind of caused you to seek out this model?
Yeah. So a lot of that does resonate. So I mean, we haven't talked about, ADHD and who might or might not be or anything, but the distraction thing is real. My coaching calls, these days, one-to-ones have been reduced to three-quarters of an hour because it is hard. It is hard to remain focused and things, on the topics that you're talking about. I do agree with the emotional regulation piece that Ari mentioned as well. Um, it's a lot easier for people to get their thoughts and feelings out in the moment. And the worst thing that someone can do is, go back after, a terrible Friday and, then not be present with their family and all of that kind of stuff. And this does give them a real opportunity to almost verbally journal, really. Now, the great thing is that there is someone else on the other side. It's not just a verbal journal to, a recording device. Or there is someone on the other side listening to that, understanding that, catching what it is that they're really saying with this. And that is one of the big benefits, I would say. So I think I came at it from the perspective of it's similar actually to Ari, that I would I think I started out thinking this is going to be, fantastic from my perspective. I can reply when I want to. Um, but then I started to see some of these, significant benefits from other people. I have a customer at the moment. We're doing interview work, an executive customer, and the platform's been fantastic for that. Absolutely fantastic. We do practice backwards and forwards. Now that's going to be a lot harder to do in a one-to-one call. I need to give some feedback. They need to reevaluate. They need to have another go, and so on. It's absolutely fantastic for those kinds of interactions. So whilst, there is undoubtedly benefit from my perspective in being able to, use some additional minutes, I also get to regulate myself. And I think, Ari maybe highlighted a little bit about our own need and our own emotions and our own energy levels. There are some times where my energy levels might be a little lower. Being able to reply at a time that suits me is also beneficial. It might not be exactly 9 o'clock, it might be 11 o'clock or something. So everyone seems to get the best of everything, when we're in this kind of asynchronous world. And I would certainly say, from my perspective, it's been the advantages have been both to myself as the coach, but significantly also to the client. They get to say the things that they want to say in the moment, and not wait until the next call in 2 weeks' time or something. And speaking just briefly about the ADHD side of things, many of my customers won't even remember. It's in a week and a half. What happened to them a week and a half ago, that's gone. So we'll sit in a session and go, "How's this last month been for you?" And they'll say, "Oh, it's been great." And then we'll dig a little bit, and then suddenly you realize that the business almost fell apart mid-month or something. It's hard to remember all of those things, say specifically from an ADHD perspective. So there are significant advantages to dealing with these things right in the moment.
It's interesting. The one thing you'll both touched on is, I think it's very easy to think in terms of the client always and forget that there is a person on the other end of that client relationship. And at the end of the day, that person, also has emotions, feelings, energy, things to manage. And ultimately, how that's managed is affects the product that the client is getting. And so, a lot of research of, after we eat and, the post lunch slump and things like that, it's like by being able to like find what's the rhythm for you really changes the product that shows up for the client, which I hadn't fully connected before, but that's super insightful. Um, uh, really
One more
great.
point, if I may, on that. Sorry,
Yeah,
apologies. The other thing that I've really kind of noticed is that this slow, gradual change is so much easier for clients to deal with and manage. So if you almost think of it like, you know, you're asking them in a coaching call to make a big 30-degree shift or something. A 1 degree shift 30 times is so much easier for people to manage. So it's not only, you know, the benefit obviously say to us, but it really is significantly beneficial to them as well.
yeah, yeah. I can totally appreciate that. I remember in mini coaching sessions, certain days I'd show up and it was like, great, everything's calm. My Slack's not getting blown up. People aren't pinging me left and right. I'm like here, ready to talk about things. And then other times I was just like, it was 20 minutes of landing just to try to get my head into the session, because I was rushing from something else. And so it plays on both sides for sure. So